my name is Sophia, and welcome to The Show Must Go On. So today I'm doing part 1 of, sadly, my final video about School Spirits Season 3, but obviously after I posted my last video, we did officially get the confirmation that School Spirits has been renewed for Season 4, and they said it will be coming in 2027, so we can all breathe. We know that it's coming back, and that means I will get to do another year of these videos, which is so much fun. I am actually splitting this video into 2 because I have a lot to say. So stay tuned for the next part. I should try to get it up pretty soon after this one. So today, like I kept teasing in my past videos, I will just be doing an entire Season 3 review. So just talking about the whole season, overall, my thoughts on it. Let's get right into it. Starting with just some of my general thoughts about this season overall. So I really loved it. I mean, you know, I'm just a sucker for this show. They could give me like a whole season's worth of just Wally staring into the camera and I would be like, perfect, 10 out of 10, no notes. Yeah, so I just love this show. So obviously I really did like it, but it was my least favorite of the 3 so far. And once again, that is not saying that I didn't like it. Like, I still loved it, and like compared to like other shows and stuff, like it's still like I love it so much. But just like if I had to compare it, which like obviously, you know, it's also hard. You can't really compare them because they're all so different, and you know, but I'm just saying if I had to compare it to the first 2 seasons, I did just like this one a little bit less than those first 2, but I think that's just because, like, I don't know, I feel like the first season of a show is always gonna be the best usually, or like the second season, because it's just like, I don't know, I just feel like nothing ever fully tops like the vibes of like the beginning of a show and like just the whole original like plot line. Like, it still felt like the show. It didn't feel like they were like going off like some shows, like literally by the 3rd season they already start to feel really like weird and like disjointed, and they start to like try to do like too many like other things and it almost feels like a different show. Like they try to bring like too many new characters in or like stuff like that, but I didn't get this vibe from this. I mean, obviously, yes, was there kind of a lot going on at times and stuff? Yes, but I still feel like it didn't stray too far from like the heart of the show, if that makes sense. I do kind of miss some of the like simplicity that we had like in the first season and second season, mostly the first season, because you know, the first season we still didn't even know, like we didn't know anything, like we didn't even know what happened to Maddie, so of course like it was a lot more simple and it was a lot more just like focused on like each character and like what they've gone through and stuff like that. But once again, like I do also love the fun like crazy stuff that was happening in this season, but I did really like how spooky this season was. Like, you know, even before it came out, a lot of the cast members were like teasing that it definitely leaned more into like horror vibes, and I could definitely see that as we were watching, you know, and I really liked that. I feel like with each season they kind of like really focus on a certain like subgenre to kind of like give the vibes of. Like the first season obviously is very like murder mystery, second season is very like paranormal, and then the 3rd season is very like horror kind of. So I really like that they kind of like explore different like branches of the overall like dark genre, if that makes sense. And yeah, I said like great character development per usual. Like I think they still are doing a really good job of developing these characters and making them still feel like, that's another thing is I hate sometimes in shows when the show, like as it goes on, like the characters start to like not even feel like themselves anymore. Like they start to like literally even change like the writing of the characters. Once again, I feel like in this season they still basically all felt the same. Well, even though like, you know, obviously these new situations were happening, but they were still acting in the way that I would imagine those characters to act under those scenarios. And some characters, like once again I'll get into more, but like Xavier and like Quinn, I think got really good, like even more depth to them this season. I said great music again. Shout out to the music supervisor. I read a whole article that she wrote, and it was so cool, like, learning about how they, like, choose the music and everything. Everyone that watches this show knows, like, their soundtrack is just always, like, peak. It's so good. And I said I think if I had to choose, I think episode 6 was my favorite, just because, like, I don't know, there was just so much happening, and, like, the whole Casey Jensen thing I thought was so cool. And, like, when Maddie and Xavier are actually, like, confronting him, like, that whole scene was so scary. Like, that I feel like really leaned into the horror genre. Like, obviously then with them, like, running through the maze and everything. Obviously they all have good elements, but if I had to choose, I think that was the best in my opinion. So now I'm just gonna kind of talk about, like, the overall plot and storyline of this season and what I thought about it. So I did think it was very interesting, obviously. You know, we had some crazy, like, new stuff happening, but it was really great because obviously we finally kind of got some answers of these questions that we've been having. I did say it could sometimes get a little confusing, which, you know, I can't really fault them too much for that, because sometimes you just can't make everything, like, perfect in a TV show, and especially, like, a show like this, like, it's always gonna sometimes be, like, somewhat confusing when there's all these, like, supernatural elements and, like, stuff like that. And obviously, like, they can do whatever they want with, like, rules about certain things, because, like, you know, it's all, like, fantasy type things, you know, so they can kind of do whatever they want with that. But then sometimes, you know, that can get a little confusing because you're kind of like, wait, but why is that a thing? And, like, you know, why can that person do that or whatever? But I still think they did a good job once again of making it still, like, it didn't get too off the rails. Like I said, I loved getting more history of Split River. I thought that was really cool. Just learning more about all these, like, mysteries of things in the town that we've been, like, wanting to know. Because obviously, like, even just hearing about, you know, like, the whole church flooding, and, like, you know, we're assuming that's kind of how this whole thing started with, you know, the school kind of being haunted because of, like the janitor said, like, the energy, like, literally the physical area, like, holds that, like, trauma kind of. So I really liked, like, learning about that and everything, because, like, you know, that's something that we've been kind of, like, theorizing about for a long time. I did say I think the pacing, I mean, I think it was pretty good throughout, but I do think it got a little bit better, like, in the second half of the season compared to the first. Like, looking back, there's just some things that I'm like, I feel like we could have picked the pace up a little bit, like, in the first couple episodes, because then it kind of felt like a lot of information was, like, more so in, like, the 5th, 6th, 7th, like, whatever, whereas, like, we maybe could have sprinkled just a little bit of that information more, like, in the first, like, 3 episodes. Oh, and I said I really liked getting to know Simon more, because obviously this season, it's kind of like Simon was almost more of the main character, kind of. So we really got to know him more, and we learned about, like, you know, like, his family stuff or whatever, and I thought that was really cool because, like, I think I've talked about it before, but I always found it so interesting how Simon was always our main, like, living person, like, the one we saw the most, but we actually, like, knew the least about him, kind of. And like I said, good character development, and once again, I'll get into that more when I talk about each character. So now I'm gonna quickly talk about things that I predicted, because, I don't know, I think it's just fun to, like, look back on, you know, like, I had a whole season 3 theories video that I did on here back in, like, October, I think, so, you know, a couple months before the season came out. So I just want to go through them for fun. So I did predict in that video that Maddie was going to finally tell Sandra, you know, the truth of everything that happened, and that did happen in episode 7, I think, right? And yeah, I'm really happy, because, I don't know, I just had a feeling, because I was like, I feel like, you know, like, how long can you make it her have to, like, tiptoe around her mom, you know? Like, especially if they want to try to, like, mend their relationship more, like, they have to be able to be, like, fully honest with each other, you know? So yeah, so I'm happy I predicted that. And I did say, like, I said, like, I don't think it would happen, like, immediately, but, like, by the end of the season, and I was right, because it was, like, episode 7, like, right at the end, kind of. So I said that maybe, like, I kind of had a prediction of, like, maybe the reason that Simon kind of has this, like, connection with the supernatural and, like, could see Maddie and everything was maybe because he has had a near-death experience, and maybe we would like learn about that. So obviously we still don't completely know like why he could see Maddie or whatever, but we did find out that that is kind of true, that he had a near-death experience, because his mom died in childbirth with him. So like obviously he as a baby was kind of in danger of dying too. So that is kind of right. I mean, you know, we didn't get like a full explanation of like if that's the reason he could see Maddie or whatever, but I just think that's interesting that he has kind of had like a near-death experience, because that could explain it in the future. I predicted how Janet was able to keep things from resetting, which is like, you know, Yuri ended up figuring out, which was by bringing it into your scar. And I predicted that because I remember I was just trying to like figure out if I could think of any explanation for that. And I think I thought of that because I was just like, well, we know like the scars have a lot of power, and like they could even kind of temporarily like thin the veil with like, you know, Mr. South like could see Mr. Martin when like Janet was in her scar for a long period of time and stuff like that. So I just thought like maybe it's a similar thing with like if you take an object in your scar, like it kind of almost like thins the veil a little bit, and that's why it then like doesn't reset. And I was right. And I think like the biggest one is I predicted that the ghosts would be able to leave the school at some point. I mean, I thought maybe it was going to happen more like in this season, but obviously it's more so for next season. But still, it did, you know, happen at the end of the season, and that's something I was really like riding for, because I don't know, once again, I just was thinking like from a storytelling perspective, there's only so much you can do with them just in the school, you know, and I just thought like that would be a good way to like be able to expand it, and they can go to different places, and then you can explore more of like their relationships with like their family and stuff like that. And yeah, and obviously that's gonna happen, and I'm so excited for that. And then this is just like something I predicted like while the show was happening, was I did predict that White Eyes wasn't Van Height, which, I mean, a lot of people I feel like probably predicted that, but I don't know, because I remember like they kept just like assuming that he was Van Height, and I was like, I don't know, the fact that they keep just like assuming that, it makes me think he's not Van Height. I just had a feeling, and then obviously we found out he wasn't. He was the pastor. So now, like I said, I'm going to talk about like half of the characters. So, okay, starting with Maddie, of course. So like I said, I thought like her, like the way she acted in these scenarios and like adjusting to like being alive again and everything felt very true to her character. I know some people have, like, I saw some people say on Reddit and stuff that they felt like like she was kind of annoying at times this season and stuff, which I can kind of understand. Like, I did sometimes get kind of annoyed by her, but like, even though yes, she could be kind of annoying, I still feel like the way she was acting was how Maddie would act. Like, because we've always seen, like, I mean, I love Maddie, but, you know, she always could be a little rash and, like, get very angry sometimes and stuff like that. Like, we even saw that a lot in season 1 with, like, just the way that she would get so, like, you know, Simon, you need to help me figure this out. Like, you know, so, like, it doesn't shock me that she kind of was acting the way she was, like, with having to adjust to, like, being alive again and then whatever. But I did say I wish she could have been nicer to Simon at times, because I did think it was kind of ironic that, you know, like I just said, she was sometimes very like, Simon, you have to help me, and like very needy and stuff when she was a ghost, but now that Simon's like in that position, now she's like, don't be so rash, and like she was getting like mad at him for the same type of stuff that like she was doing before. So I mean, I know the circumstances were a little bit different because he actually was like alive and she didn't want him to like actually die, but I don't know, I still just felt like I was like, you're being a little hypocritical. But once again, I still kind of understood it because I feel like it does kind of match up with her character, and I just thought her and Xavier's dynamic was really great. That was something that I was very excited to see in this season, was, you know, what the dynamic with her and Xavier would be like again, because obviously we haven't really seen them interact since, you know, before she got stuck in the ghost world and everything. And obviously like the last time they were together was when they were like dating, and she didn't know about him cheating on her and all that stuff. So obviously we knew it was going to be kind of like a slightly awkward dynamic probably once she came back, and like just a little weird. But, and obviously yes, like it was a little weird for them at times, but I do think they still were like so sweet to each other. Like I just think they had some really nice moments like as friends, and they had some really nice moments with, you know, like Xavier apologizing, and I don't know, like them just kind of helping each other out. And yeah, I just like thought it was really sweet. Now talking about Mr. Wally Clark. So I mean, obviously I love him as usual, like, you know. I did think his like little banter with Simon was great. Obviously they kind of had like a rocky relationship, which we kind of expected, but I thought it was really funny. And, you know, once again, I love how like he's always been like this, but you know, it's gotten even more over time. Like he's just so dedicated to everyone he loves, you know, like whether it be Maddie or even helping Simon, even though they're not, you know, they don't always get along, or, you know, the other ghosts or whatever. Like he will just do anything to help them and protect them, and I just love that. And I like that I feel like was becoming more of a leader, and like figuring out stuff on his own and not just like taking orders from other people like he kind of used to. And yeah, like I thought he was great at comforting Maddie. The only thing I said is I didn't love that he didn't tell the ghosts about his door and then just like went through it and didn't tell them. I just can't believe that he knew there was a possibility that like that was actually just gonna like cross him over and he would never see them again, and he just did that and like didn't say bye. Like I know he probably was doing it because he was like, I don't want them to stop me. But like, I don't know. I just thought it was crazy though, because I'm like, what if you actually, like, obviously, like he's not completely gone. They're just like in this forest. But I'm like, what if, like, he didn't know that? Like, what if it really did just like make him gone and you just didn't say bye to your friends that you've known for, what, 60 years or whatever? And like, you literally told them, like in season 1, he literally said, I don't want to just disappear and like not get to say bye to people. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. And even just like the fact that he never told them, and the fact that he didn't tell Maddie too, which once again, like I know from his perspective, he probably was like, I don't want her to like stop me, because obviously she would have freaked out and been like, no. But it's still kind of sad. And yeah, I still just also don't love that he like didn't even tell them about his door like to begin with, and like kept it a secret. I don't know. Like I get it. Like he felt bad, like, you know, he didn't want them to feel like jealous or like, or you know, like scared that he was going to go through it or whatever, but I don't know. I just felt like it was weird to like not tell them. Like I don't know. I'm just like, at this point, I feel like you guys need to just like be honest with each other, because like all this crazy stuff is happening, and like you literally could have just said to them, guys, I did get my door, but like don't worry, like I'm not gonna go through it or anything until we figure more stuff out and whatever. But like I feel like I should just tell you, because like, you know, I want to be honest with you. But I mean, I know he just didn't know how to tell them, but yeah. Okay, so talking about Charlie, so, like, I just can't even believe I'm saying this, like, but I just said, like, not gonna lie, he really bugged me this season, and I hate it, because if you know, like, if you've seen my other videos, like, Charlie has always been, like, one of my favorite characters, like, in season 1 and season 2, like, I love him, like, he just is so sweet and, like, funny and stuff, but I don't know. He was just like, I just feel like for most of this season, all his character was just like being annoyed at Yuri because he dated more people than him and stuff, and like just being all insecure and like yelling at him and stuff. And I was just like it just bugged me. Like, and I know he's a teenager. Like, I know, like, obviously, like I said, it's not like I'm like, oh my god, this is so out of character for him, because, like, you know, we know that he has, like, a lot of insecurity problems and stuff, and, like, I mean, yeah, it is pretty big to find out that your current boyfriend, like, got someone pregnant like in his senior year of high school, and he could have a kid and a grandson and whatever. Like, that is big, but still, like, the way that he reacted to it and stuff, like, I don't know. So that just kind of bugged me, but, and like, I don't know, it just kind of made me upset because I feel like they kind of just like didn't know what to do with him low-key this season, like, because that's like kind of all he did was just like fight with Yuri. And yeah, I mean, once again, it's just hard because there's so much going on. Like, I know it must be really hard to try to figure out like what to do with each character, especially also when some of them are literally trapped in like the same location. Well, you know, not anymore, but yeah. But yeah, it just bugged me. But there were some good moments from him that I liked. I really liked when he had that little talk with Simon, where he like told, like, we found out that he has, or he had a brother, and like he kind of gave Simon advice to like he's like, please, like, when you get back, like, talk to your sister, because like I would do anything, you know, to be able to talk to my brother again, and like, you know, you don't want to like waste your chance. Like that was a really sweet talk. And oh, and I really liked, you know, when we found out his last name and Katani, and like finding out that Sandra like was a senior when he was a sophomore at Split River. Like, that was so cool. Because obviously we've always speculated like there has to be someone that we know, like one of the adults that like was at the school at the same time as one of them. So I thought that was cool that we finally got that. And I thought it was really sweet because I saw from Nick Pugliese, who plays Charlie, that Katani is actually his real mother's maiden name. So I thought that was just like really sweet, and it honors like his Japanese heritage and stuff. So I thought that was really cute. But I also said he did kind of redeem himself at the end though too, because, you know, him and Yuri like putting out the fire and everything, like obviously that was great, and he kind of finally got to have his like save the day moment, you know. And I thought, you know, then they kind of made up, and that was all sweet and everything. Okay, so now for Rhonda. I kind of just said, like, good. Honestly, feel like she didn't do much this season. I don't know, it's so sad, because obviously, like, Charlie and Rhonda are, like, two of the biggest characters, but I feel like both of them, low-key, like, didn't do as much this season. Just because I feel like there was so much more focus on, like, Maddie, Van Height, Kyle, Simon. Like, I feel like those were like the main, and like the dad and stuff like that, those were kind of the main focuses. So I don't know, I just like really don't have much to say about her. Like, she was good. Like, I don't know, like there weren't really any moments that she had that like annoyed me or anything, but I just feel like there wasn't that much. But I mean, I guess that's also kind of good in a way, because, you know, she kind of had, I feel like her and Charlie kind of switched, because last season I felt like Rhonda could be a little annoying at times, but now this season it was Charlie. So now this season I feel like she was honestly just like good. Like, I feel like her character has very much progressed. Like, obviously in season 1 she was so like angry and like bitter and stuff, and now I feel like she's definitely like softened up a lot and stuff. And of course I love Quinda, and I thought, you know, that was really cute, and obviously a lot of people have been anticipating that, and, you know, I liked that they finally got to do that in this season. And I like that for Rhonda too, obviously, because that's really like helping her with like her trust issues and like softening up and stuff. Oh, and I think though the best scene with Rhonda though this season was definitely her flashback with like when she met Joyce, and, you know, that was kind of like the moment that she felt like inspired to like be like a beatnik kind of, and like go off to Berkeley and everything. So I thought that was like definitely the best moment of her. So now talking about Simon, obviously had a lot going on this season. So I said kind of like Maddie, he could low-key be a little annoying at times, but I kind of understand why. Like, obviously he was in a very stressful situation. He went through all that trouble of getting Maddie back, and then it's like the second he finally did, he couldn't be with her and everything. So, you know, like, I get it. And once again, it's still very much like aligned with Simon as a character, because kind of like Maddie too, I feel like Simon's always been a very like rash and like, you know, can kind of just get very like worked up type of character. So it still like made sense for him, but, you know, sometimes it could just be a little annoying at times. Like, sometimes you just want to be like, Simon, just like calm down for a second. Like I said, like, sometimes I kind of felt bad for how Maddie treated him. Like, I thought it was so mean when she just said, like, he couldn't, like, you know, he got me out and then he couldn't just wait 2 seconds. You know, he had to go running back in and he got himself in this situation in the first place. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, she's kind of right. Like, yeah, once again, Simon can be a little, like, rash at times and, like, just, like, run into things. But also, like, I don't know. Like, it's a bad enough situation as it is. Do we really have to go, like, playing the blame game and stuff? Like, you know, and once again, like, he did so much for her. So, I don't know. I just thought that was a little annoying, but whatever. But I also really liked his, like, dynamic with the ghosts and, like, his banter with them and stuff once again, because obviously it was crazy just to, like, see him actually interacting with these people that he's never actually gotten to interact with. I mean, obviously, you know, he didn't have the best relationship with them, kind of, because he was so focused on getting out. But I do think, obviously, over time, though, he did start to have more nice moments with them, like the talk with Charlie, and, you know, he softened up with Wally a little bit at times, and stuff like that. I did really like seeing him and Rhonda, because obviously I think they're, like, a very interesting pairing, kind of, because they can both be very, like, you know, very opinionated and, like, stuff like that, but I feel like we didn't get to see too much of that, sadly. Oh yeah, I said I loved seeing his detective side come out full-fledged again. Like, once again, like, he can just, you know, once he has a goal or whatever, like, he will just do anything. And yeah, like I said before too, loved learning more about him and, like, his family, and yeah, with, like, the story of how his mom died and how he was adopted, and, you know, he has a sister that he didn't know about and all this stuff. Like, I thought just learning all of that was really cool. So, talking about Janet, I mean, obviously I don't have too much to say because she kind of left very quick, but I mean, I thought she had a nice little talk with Simon in, like, the first episode, and, like, I think, I don't know, it was just so interesting to see them together, like, just having this, like, nice, peaceful conversation, because obviously, when you actually think about it for a minute, you're like, wait, this is kind of weird, because for Simon, it's like, this is literally the person that, like, is the reason my best friend was gone, and, like, I had to go through all that, you know, but, so I thought it was sweet that they were still able to, like, you know, like, kind of, like, he kind of was able to, like, forgive her, and, like, they still kind of had, like, a nice dynamic. But, like I said, so I don't really like how she just, like, left so quickly, and, like, when it happened, I was just like, wait, what? Like, I was so confused, and I mean, I get now, obviously, they were trying to just, I guess, get her out because they wanted, you know, to do this whole plot with, like, the forest and everything, but at the time, it was just like, what? And, like, it kind of didn't make sense because, I don't know, like, her whole theory of just, like, maybe if I go through my door, that will get you out, like, it was like, why? Like, why would that have any correlation? Like, I don't know, it was a little weird. And, you know, throughout the whole season, I kind of was like, I don't know, like, is she gonna come back? Or, like, really, maybe was that it? Like, could the actress really just, like, not come back or whatever? But I did still kind of always, like, have a feeling. I was like, I don't know, there has to be something else. So obviously I was very happy when she did actually come back in the last episode, and, you know, I do think it's, like, smart to have her in that forest because, you know, she's also always been one of the ones who's very, like, figures a lot of stuff out and whatever, so it's, like, cool to have her, like, in that location where she can kind of, like, you know, solve more stuff and figure things out. But yeah, I don't know, I kind of wish they could have handled it a little bit differently, like, kept her in for a little bit longer and maybe, like, explained her hypothesis a little more and stuff, but I'm just happy that at least she's still in the show. Okay, Mr. Martin, I have a lot of things to say about him. So, I feel like he really had, like, a redemption this season. I mean, you know, obviously, do I agree with everything he's done? No. You know, has he done some shady things in the past? Yes. But I do just think he's a very morally gray character. Like, it's not, and that's, like, to me, like, that's how people are. Like, you can't just be like, you know, I mean, unless someone's, like, a freaking serial killer or something, like, you can't really just be like, this person's 100% bad. Like, everyone has nuances to them. And even with, like, even when we found out stuff about him in the past, like, I mean, obviously, yes, I didn't like the things he did, but I always got the vibe that, like, I didn't think, oh, he's just, like, this very evil person and he's always been evil, like, from the day he was born and stuff. Like, I more so always got the vibe of like, okay, this is someone who was actually a very good person and then went through some really traumatic and like crazy things and sadly made some poor decisions because he became, you know, so desperate to get out of those traumatic experiences and stuff. Um, and that's, I feel like, what we can really see in this season. Like, because then obviously we found out even more about, like, he had even more trauma that we didn't even know about. I feel like he literally cannot catch a break. Like, I actually do feel really bad for him because, like, you know, then we found out that, like, the whole Ralph thing, and then, like, you know, the fact that he thought he, like, caused the bus crash and everything. So yeah, but yeah, I really like loved his development. Like I thought it was so interesting, and because once again, I love when there are characters like that are very morally gray, and like you can really dig deep into like why they do the things they do and why they're not perfect and all these things. And yeah, like the whole scene where he like tells the story of Ralph and everything, like that was honestly one of my favorite scenes in the whole season, I think. Like I don't know, it was just so cool, like the whole flashback of him as a kid and like just the ambiance of it with like the thunder and the look of it, and like I just thought that was so cool. And I also loved when there was that little scene, I forget which episode it was. Oh, I think it was the 5th episode, when it kind of was like making you like remember about like the group that they used to have, because he kind of does that thing where like they're all sitting in a circle and he's like talking to them again, and I thought that was like a great kind of like callback to season 1. But then like he really does like hype them up, and he even says like, I own up to my mistakes, like I know I haven't been perfect, I'm probably not going to get my door anytime soon or whatever, but like I really want to like help you guys and stuff. And like I just thought that was really sweet. And I thought it was very sweet of him to literally stay with Ralph at the end, even though he wouldn't know what's gonna happen to him. And I even said on here, like, that's another thing. Like, we have no idea now what is gonna happen, because it looked like that scar was freaking, like, burning down. So we have no idea. I mean, he's already dead, but still, like, I don't know where that's gonna take him or whatever. So I'm interested to see that in the next season. Okay, so Claire is another character, kind of like Rhonda, that I feel like I'm just like, okay, she was good, but like once again, I low-key feel like she didn't do as much this season, which is really sad because I feel like she had a lot more to do last season, and I said like I kind of missed her having more of those like baddie moments like she did last season, like because I just feel like she did so much in season 2. Like she helps them so much with, you know, figuring things out and like tracking down Janet and everything, because like she's just so like smart and she can just like come up with something like on the fly, like when she like called and like got Mr. Martin like caught at like the abandoned house or whatever. So yeah, so I just kind of missed that. I just feel like she didn't really have as many moments like that in this season. But something I did like, I really liked that she wore her hair naturally more in this season. Like first of all, Rainbow is just like so pretty, and love that for her. But I also liked it because in terms of like the story, like I feel like that really is a metaphor for how Claire is changing and how she's really finally like letting her true self come through. And you know, she's not just like following these like social rules of like the way she has to dress and act and do her hair and be the popular cheerleader and everything. Like, you know, she's just being herself. She's finally actually friends with these good people, and you know, so I just thought that was a cool little like kind of visual metaphor for that. I did just say the kiss with Diego was like pointless. Like I'm sorry, I don't care. Like I was actually kind of surprised when it happened, because like I knew they would maybe do that because obviously they were like hinting it the last season, but then I was like, I don't know, like it's so random, like are they really gonna even do that like with all that's happening in this season? And then they still did, and I was like, I feel like you just wasted like 5 minutes of time that we could have been like looking at something more interesting. So whatever. But I did say we did kind of see one of her like baddie moments when she kind of slayed at the school meeting, because you know, when her and Nicole were like talking and she like brought up the evidence and everything, and she's like talking, she doesn't even care that her stepdad is literally right there and everything. So yeah, I love that for her. Oh, and I didn't write it, but I just realized too, I liked the whole thing with mentioning her Finnish heritage, which I did find out Rainbow does actually have Finnish heritage in real life. And like her just all of a sudden speaking and everything. I thought that was really cool. And obviously that I feel like kept her a little bit more relevant to the story because she was able to like, you know, help them decode some of like the Finnish and stuff. Okay, as for Xavier, who like I said, like Loki I think was one of the best characters this season. Which like if you had told me that like season 1, season 2, I would have been like, I mean, I was starting to really like him more in season 2 and like I thought he was funny and stuff, but like even more so in this season. Like, okay, because once again, I just think he had so much character development. Like, I just love the way that, you know, I mean, think about him in season 1. Like, he was so different. He was so, like, brooding. Like, you thought he was just the typical, like, bad boy type of thing. And now he's literally, like, so, like, silly and just, like, sweet and like, I don't know, I just love seeing his full true personality come out, kind of like Claire. Like, I feel like, you know, he really helped out with, like, you know, like he was always doing stuff in the hospital and talking to, like, Kyle and Dave and everything. And he also, like I said, would have these really nice talks with Maddie. And, you know, like, him checking on her, like, coming to her house and everything. Like, and then, like, yeah, like I said, I just think he had so many funny lines. Like, the bird moment in episode 4 where he's like, he sees the principal coming and he's like, caw, caw, like, bird call, whatever. Like, that was so funny. And, like, I just want to shout out Spencer McPherson, who plays him, because I just think he's such a good actor. Okay, talking a bit about Nicole. So, I mean, if you've watched me before, you'll know I've never been the biggest fan of Nicole as a character. I just always have kind of felt like she just doesn't do that much in the story, and I've just had some problems with her in the past, like specifically last season. I feel like she had some moments that really annoyed me, kind of like Charlie in this season. But I did say, honestly, this is the most I've liked her character in the whole show, was this season. Like, once again, I don't know, like there still wasn't anything super crazy with her character that like I thought was like so good, but I do just think she was the most likable she's ever been in this season. Like, I don't know, like I just feel like she just seemed more mature and wasn't having any of those like weird kind of like annoying moments like she did last season. And I mean, you know, she kind of helped out with like when she was trying to find out stuff with Livia, and then that's how she found out more about like the superintendent and stuff. Although I did think that plotline was like a little like, I don't know, it ended up being like a little pointless. But, and I said, you know, I liked her friendship with Claire, and I liked that they are becoming better friends. And, you know, I just think it's especially sweet to see like, you know, two people that are so different and like, you know, have had such different experiences with like, you know, Claire was like very popular before and she's very like rich and, you know, has had all that. But then you have Nicole, who's like not very popular and was like bullied growing up and stuff. And, you know, so just like two very different experiences. But now they're like best friends, and I just think that's really sweet. And I just think it goes to show that, once again, everyone's very morally gray, and, you know, just because we were one way at one point in our life doesn't mean we can't change and become friends with people that we would have never thought we would have been friends with. And that's just one of the things I love about this show. Okay, and now this is the final character I'm going to talk about in this video. So, talking about Yuri. So, I mean, I love him. Like I just said, he's an icon as usual. But once again, I just feel like he low-key didn't do much this season. Like, I loved the whole, like, grandson plotline. Like, I thought that was so interesting. And then they kind of just, like, dropped it. Like, he told Charlie the story, and then, like, that was it. Like, they never talked about it again, whatever. Which, once again, like, I kind of get it, because, once again, there was a lot happening. And I kind of understand it, too, because now with the way that, like, the direction that the show's going in for season 4, we probably, I think, will get more development of that storyline, because, you know, he'll probably be able to, like, find, like, the girl that he got pregnant and, like, find his son, maybe, and, like, find his grandson, whatever, and, like, he can probably reflect more on that. But it was just, like, a little disappointing that we didn't get more in this season, but oh well. But I did really like seeing his scar finally. I thought that was really cool because obviously he was, well, him and Quinn's were the only ones we hadn't seen, I think, right? Yeah. So I did think that was really cool, and I thought I did really like, you know, what his scar like represented, and like how we did kind of learn more about his like deepest darkest fears because of that and stuff. And like I thought it was very interesting when you said like, you know, I realized like my biggest fear was kind of just, you know, just like living but not really like living, you know, like just kind of becoming one of those people that it's just like, you know, I do what you're supposed to do. I have a job, I get married, have 2 kids, you know, but like have a job that I don't really like that much. Just like watch TV all day, white picket fence, that's it, you know, and like I'm not very like happy and stuff. And then he said like I was so afraid of getting stuck that I actually did it to myself, because obviously then, you know, when he was dead, he really did just like keep himself frozen and isolated and just kept himself in the pottery room and didn't do anything else and never talked to anyone else, whatever. So I don't know, I just thought that was very interesting because, I mean, once again, I just love that School Spirits just reflects, I feel like, on so many different like life things that we all go through and stuff, and I feel like that is a really like true thing that sometimes, because we're so scared of something, we kind of like make it happen, like a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing. And once again, I felt bad for how he was treated by Charlie, but once again, they made up in the end. So once again, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for part 2, which once again, I'll be trying to get up very soon. And yeah, comment down below any thoughts or opinions you have on anything I said in this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!